Everyone, this presentation is about Dick and Carey model, so let's get started. In this presentation, we will cover the following: introduction about Dick and Carey, explanation of Dick and Carey model, Dick and Carey model environment, then discussion and conclusion. First, let's start with what is the role of models in general, and why do we need instructional design models? In fact, model is defined as a way to perceive the reality. It's a simple representation to processes or complex function of phenomena or physical materials. It's not the reality itself. Models are used to build a theory or a test, predict, interpret a product or a process. So models can provide us with conceptual and communicative tools, allow us to choose particular practical tools and develop them, allow us to make the procedures of building learning activity visible, guide and administrate these procedures. So actually, Gustafson classified the model into three categories. Classroom instructional design models, which are models that can be used by instructors who work alone as designers and users. The second type is product development models, which are the models that must be used by instructional designers, expert project manager. The third type of model classification is system-oriented models, which are the models that the goal of it is to be used in systematical situation. And in fact, Dick and Carey model is considered as system-oriented models because the Dick and Carey instructional design model provides a systematic orientation that structures learning in a way that puts the learner's interests first, while incorporating feedback at all levels of the design process to improve teaching. The Dick and Carey instructional design model uses a detailed 9-step system and procedural process to provide strategies for creating course instructions. So the first step is identify instructional goal. Instructional goal refers to what students are able to do, and at the end of the instruction needs assessment from the curriculum, practical experiences with learning difficulties of students in the classroom, or innovations in professional practice enables an instructional designer to determine an instructional goal. Then, after identifying instructional goal, these two steps are parallel steps. So we conduct analysis and identify entry-level behaviors at the same time. Conducting an instructional analysis is that the designer determines what type of learning is required of the students. Analysis of the instructional goal helps to identify required subordinate skills and the procedural steps needed to learn a particular process. Then, in this step, identify entry-level behaviors. Designer will identify entry-level behaviors and characteristics of the learner in terms of knowledge, skills, attitudes, and environment where learning will occur are important consideration in the design of instructional activities. Then the designer will move to write performance objectives. Objectives based on instructional analysis and learner characteristics should emphasize performance of specific behavior skills, the conditions of performance, and the criteria for successful performance. The next step is develop criterion reference test items. This step, the emphasis is on the development of assessment items that are parallel to and measure the student's ability to achieve the intended objectives. So the sixth step, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the sixth step is develop the instructional strategy. Based on the 5 preceding steps, the designer identifies interactive instructional strategies for pre-instructional activities, presentation of information, practice, feedback, testing, follow-through activities, and the preferred media for achieving the objectives. The next step is develop and select instructional materials. In this step, the designer uses any preferred instructional strategies to produce the instructional materials. In this step, as a designer, we need to produce instructional materials. Then we will move to the last step, which not the last step, the one before the last one, which is design and conduct formative evaluation. Series of evaluation conducted through one-to-one evaluation, small group evaluation, and field evaluation, which help to collect data needed to identify how to improve the instruction. So in the first one, we identify instructional goals. We conduct analysis for learner analysis. We move to determine and identify behaviors and characteristics of the learner in terms of knowledge, skills, and so on. Then we move to write performance objectives, then the criteria and preference test items. Then we move to develop instructional strategy. Then we choose our materials. Then we conduct formative evaluation, one-to-one, field, small group evaluation. Then the last step is revise instruction, this one, where data from formative evaluation, we will collect data here. So the data in formative evaluation will be re-examined. The validity of the instructional and learner analysis, statement of performance, objectives, and test items. So we will collect data here, then here in this step we will revise it and re-examine it, and we can return back to any other step on the model. This step, as you can see here, the design and conduct of summative evaluation is an independent step in the model as indicated by the block line, not the dotted line. Summative evaluation is the culminating evaluation of the effectiveness of instruction. The evaluation occurs at the end of the instruction after formative evaluation and the revision of instruction. So this evaluation will be done after formative and also the revision instruction. So after we completed and designed the whole curriculum or course or project, we will conduct summative evaluation and then begin the iterative process once again. Some designer will do the iterative process once again. And usually the evaluator for summative evaluation, it's an independent evaluator from outside the company or the organization or the course. The type of environment and activity that we can apply Dick and Carey model in is educational community developed curriculum and courses. Here are some examples that implemented the model. The first one is developing a visualization educational curriculum for teaching statistics. The objectives of this study were to develop a curriculum based on visualization for teaching statistics, and then to assess students' attitudes toward the technology used in the curriculum. The second example of Dick and Carey module implementation is designing church curriculum. Then the last one, developing a simulation of cooperative learning module. All these are studies where they implemented Dick and Carey module. Here are some advantages and disadvantages of Dick and Carey module, some pros and cons of Dick and Carey module. So let's start with the cons. The cons are that it doesn't include procedures for a total performance system analysis. We have analysis here, which is instructional analysis, but it does not include procedures for a total performance system analysis. And this cons was written by Dick themselves in his article. The second con is it doesn't include procedures for implementing and maintaining instruction. However, it has many advantages, which are it identifies instructional goals, it's to improve system rather than improving a product. Novice designers can use it step by step, so it's simple and easy and it can be used by novice designer. It's not a linear approach. Designers move back and forth in the module, so it's not a linear. The designer can go back and forth in the module. This elements or aspects, I didn't include it in the pros and I didn't include it in the cons because some practitioners said it's a cons, but Dick and himself in the article said that some practitioners highlighted that um, they have indicated that it's not necessarily to follow all of the steps in the model in sequence, and sometimes we can ignore some of the steps. So he said that they considered it as, or they highlighted it as a con and a disadvantage, but actually we considered it as advantage of the model, that we can sometimes ignore some steps and also we don't have to follow all steps in sequence. So finally, as you can see that Dick and Carey model is a simple model. It is easy for novice designer to apply. From presenting and reading about many instructional design models, I was trying to know the differences between all models and find out the features of Dick and Carey model. However, I realized that each model has different goal and procedures. Therefore, there is no model that is useful for every situations or projects or objectives. So, it's important to determine the goal of the model first and the context in which the model designed for. Classification of models help designers to choose the most appropriate one to specific situation. For example, Dick and Carey model is a perfect model for designing a course or curriculum. It starts with identifying instructional goals, then conducting instructional analysis and analyze learners and context. It's designed in a way that helps instructors to have a well-designed course, which has clear objectives, assessment instrument, instructional strategy, and selected materials. So we have objectives, we have assessment instrument. Also, we will select instructional strategy and selected materials. The helpful feature of Dick and Carey model is that it's considered not a linear model, so designers are able to move back and forth. And for advanced designer, it's not necessarily to follow all of the steps in the model in sequence. And sometimes some steps of the model can be ignored. In fact, Dick, Carey, and Carey mentioned in their book that as long as you are a novice designer, trust the model. But if you become advanced designer, trust yourself. So thank you for watching this presentation. This is Rima Al-Maziad and this is my contact information. Feel free to communicate for any reason. Stay safe. Goodbye.